I rarely meet people who are as tenacious and dedicated through like banging their head against a brick wall, because that is what entrepreneurship is. Whose brick is on Roni's gas pedal?
Like nice things. I don't know. Like I
Who the f am I to tell you what to do with your money? My name is Priya, currently managing millions of hardworking dollars. Enough foreplay. Let's talk money. Welcome to the F word. Smart money. No bull. Hey guys, welcome to the F word. My guest today has one of the boldest entrepreneurial stories I've heard in a very long time. And when I listened to it, I immediately knew that I had to bring her on and share her with you. If you run a business or even think you might want to one day, there are a lot of lessons in this one. She's been heads down building her company for 18 years. I kid you not, she doesn't look a day over 27. And if you're watching this, you know I'm not exaggerating. Roni Hirschberg is the founder and CEO of Generation Love, a fashion brand with a boutique on Madison Avenue, literally next door to Christian Louboutin, which is awfully convenient. Roni, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're pumped. You know, Roni, most of the guests that I bring on, I've known for years. You and I barely know each other, but within seconds of listening to your story, I was blown away by your bravery. I would love if you could take us back in time to what you were doing before Generation Love and how the idea came about.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, I love my story, so I love sharing it. It really feels like yesterday. I was born and raised in New York City, so I would come home when I was in college to work in the summer. So I was working at a restaurant called Chazal, which is a French restaurant in Nomad, which was like a really cool place as a waitress, and that's where I met my partner, who's now my life partner and my business partner, Audrey. And so we were basically waitresses in this really cool French restaurant. She's French, so she fit right in. And I was the only American working there.
How old are you at this time?
I am 19.
Okay, so you're waitressing and you're thinking there's more for me out there. What was like the first nugget of, was it I want to do something different? Was I want to do something in fashion?
Well, I loved fashion because I had worked in retail ever since I was 16. Like after school, I worked at Intermix and Scoop, and I was really good at selling. I loved styling women. I loved trying to understand why they bought what they bought. I loved like the whole like analytical side of it. And I loved honestly being independent and making my own money. I mean, that was really the drive. I wanted to save money for school. I had to kind of pay my way through college. So I was hungry. I was like super hungry to just make money, save money, and I loved what I was doing. I loved selling. And then in waitressing, you also it's kind of the same thing. You meet people, it's fun, you can make a lot of money. And I think eventually we wanted our own thing. Like we knew that that wasn't going to be a life for us. Like I didn't want to stay in retail or waitressing forever. And it's really easy to get caught up in that because the money can be really good. We're like, I wanted to have my own business. I wanted to be my own boss.
That's a very common feeling for a lot of people listening, I know. And so how do you go from waitressing? You said you were doing it to raise money definitely for school, but then you had to think about, did you raise money to start your business? Did you save money? How do you start?
I think I just learned the word raise, like to raise money, like very recently. We honestly did this kind of like figuring it out, like young and naive, which is sometimes the best way to do something. I didn't even know that was an option to like go get money somewhere or like like, yes, I knew what investors were, but I was like, no one would ever invest in me. Like, why? So yeah, we decided that for a random reason that $100,000 sounded like a solid number to start a business for whatever reason.
Did you know what business you were raising for or saving? Did you like, were you like, okay, we're going to start a fashion company?
Yes, yes. We were like talking about a bunch of different things, like some random stuff, but then we decided on t-shirts, a t-shirt line. Yes, because there was like a big wave of these like cool high-end t-shirts at the time. This is 2008, and we were selling them at Intermix like crazy, and I'm like, why can't we do this? Like we can do this too, and let's give it a try. So we wanted to start, actually we started, not we wanted to, we started as an organic, 100% organic cotton t-shirt line with like really fun inspirational sayings on them. And it was great. We were really passionate about being 100% organic. We use like water-based dyes, all this stuff, like super, super into just like creating a really beautiful product. So that was that's how we started.
And was it under the label Generation Love, or was there an earlier iteration? Like, where did that name
Generation
come
Love.
from? Branding is so important these days, and you're so good at it.
Well, yeah, I think it's fun. It's fun to really figure out the voice and to have figure out the voice along these years and kind of like really hone in on that.
So you had to save up $100,000. How long did that take?
It took us 2 years, and we literally, like, became hermits. Like, I did not go out. We were literally, like, work to go home, like, put the money in the bank. It made me happy and, like, to see the money increase in the bank account. Like, that was my joy. Like, I didn't need to go see my friends. I didn't need to, like, party or be young or whatever. Like, to me was like, "Oh my god, we have X amount." Like, that was what was driving us is because I was like, "Oh my god, we're almost at 50K. We're almost at 20K," you know? And then it's like, "Oh my god, we can get to 25 soon." And then it was just exciting, it was exhilarating.
That is so inspiring. And again, you said this 100K number kind of came out of nowhere, but it felt like a safe number to you. One of the things that you told me when we met that I thought was just so fucking funny and awesome and bold and brave was that you were like, fuck it, we're going to move in with my mom. Can you tell us a little bit more about like some of those early decisions you had to make?
Yeah, which is also how we were able to save the money. Yeah, we made the decision to we were like, "We're starting a t-shirt line. Mom, I'm moving in. Make room for our fabrics." Like, literally, I came in with my organic cotton rolls, like 6 of them, because we bought I don't know why, we're like, "We need 6." We made a lot of funny decisions, but like we moved in literally and like, "Mom, I'm taking over the entryway of your apartment." And it became like a little warehouse. Like I had like my rolls, I had my trims, I had some chains, like whatever we were kind of working on. It was like our spot. Yeah. And I mean, to me, it made complete sense to do that. Like it was like, if I want to do this, I want to save money. I am from New York City and I can be here and like you don't like my first of all, my mom will be happy. And you know, it was like it was a win-win, I guess. And it was great. It was, you know, I worked full time at the same time. So it wasn't just like saving money and kind of just like doing a business. We were until we had the $100,000, we didn't really start, which is also kind of interesting. We're like we are not ready yet until we have this money in the bank. And then even after we started, I did work full time for 5 years just to continue like funding the business.
Oh, I think that is such an important point because so many people think that the runway that you built a really, really strong runway and made a lot of sacrifices and trade-offs as a 20 something. Most 20 somethings are like, this is my best life. I'm going to go do all the things. And you were like, I'm moving in with my mom. I'm going to keep working. I'm not going to see my friends. I mean, like literally, like anything you could cut to go at your dream, you did. Would you call it a joint venture? Did you feel like you were solo pathing this? To what degree was Audrey?
No, definitely joint. Like one from the beginning, like our idea together. Actually, let me preface this a little bit. The whole idea was actually because we wanted to be together. So that's where the idea of Generation Love was born. We never saw each other because I was working in retail at that time, and then Audrey was working at night as a maitre d'. And so basically, we would just be like ships in the night that just like passed each other. And we were sad about it. I was very sad. And like we were sitting one day on the couch kind of like what could we do that we could work together, that we could be together 24 hours a day. Like that's what we want to do. And we were like, let's start a business. And then we're like, if we started business together, we could be together 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's literally how it was born. It was just out of love.
So romantic. I mean, we're 18 plus years into this, and any moments at which you've wanted to kill each other because, like, couples working together, I mean, there's just a stereotype around that.
Of course, we have issue. You know, there are going to be disagreements, and there's going to be like home that spills into life, and home that spills into the work, and then work that spills into home. But at the end of the day, when you're working with someone that you trust like 1,000,000%, like it doesn't matter. Like I know that we will get through it, and then we're going to be professional. So we've been in situations where we can be like so mad at each other, but if when a works like someone from the office comes in, like I'm professional, like we leave that to the side. Like we will never show or never like bring that drama to anybody else. Like that's like our own personal deal with.
Let's go back to like the earliest days. You bring these fabric rolls into your mom's house, or your stuff. I've been to your boutique. Your stuff is so beautifully tailored and so extravagant, like gorgeous pieces, simple pieces, but all beautifully tailored. were you tailoring it in the early days? Were you cutting the fabric and stitching the t-shirts together? Like how did you go that about that?
Sure. So, well, when we started, so we were really just knits, like cut and sew knits, just jersey, and we were draping it on us. Like that's kind of how we like got our ideas. I would like stay. I remember being in front of my mom's mirror, like we were putting just like draping it, like, oh, this could be cool, and like hold this, and like that. I mean, I still do that today. Like it's still kind of how we get our ideas. We worked with some amazing pattern makers and factories that we met just out of like real like grassroots, like random phone calls, going into walking into factories, meeting people. So there was one pattern maker in particular that she I don't know, we had a great relationship with her. We would like, come visit her. We would I even did like model castings from her studio. Like it was just like a very nice rapport. She was really gave us a lot of advice. Yeah, I mean, I was not stitching or sewing any of the garments. They were, we found like the professionals to do that, the experts, but they definitely like gave us a lot of wisdom and like insight.
That's incredible. And you found them you started telling me about this when we were meeting in person, but you found them just like you said, phone calls, and it's like you didn't have this big fashion network in the city. You just built it like from scratch.
Literally, like, nothing, like, no, I didn't know anybody besides in my retail, like, my salespeople, sales girls, I didn't know anybody, and, I think that's actually something that me and Audrey have that's a great, partnership that she's really good at researching things, and, like, she's good at, like, finding contacts in some way, and I'm really good at, I think, at calling them and, like, making appointments, so she would research and I would call, so that was kind of, like, how we had that set up, and I don't wanna say we looked in the yellow pages, but it maybe, like, I don't know, like, I don't I'm trying to think of the source of where we got these numbers from. Maybe a directory of some sort, but, like, we definitely had to go in some sort of directory to get the factory information for it was, like, the garment district, so we would get the information somehow, or I would call them, and then or we would show up or, like, just walk around and just, like, literally talk to people, like, I don't know if that exists anymore, but
No, I know. It's so funny because I'm also a New Yorker, and so you're talking about the garment district, which is a whole area of the city that, like, all the Fashion Institute of Technology, all the students, like, go there to get their work, their fabrics, like, all the like, the more technical aspects done. In the early days, you're doing all these things that you need other hands, like interns, or were there people that you ran into that kinda helped?
I mean, I think I was the intern, I was, like, all of it, so, like, I think I was definitely doing the job of a million different people and the intern for sure. Like that's actually I think what made me learn so much and gave me the possibility to know like every aspect of what makes to have a fashion brand because I we were the ones picking up swatches. We were the ones going to the dye house in the middle of nowhere waiting for the lab dips, that took hours on end, or like in the nitty gritty that usually I guess the owner or co-founder or so forth, CEO is not doing. But I never once thought of it as like, oh, I can't be doing this. To me, it was like, look at what I'm learning. Like I actually know how they dye this fabric or how they do the tie dye. And I never went to fashion school. I don't know how to sew, but I know how they did it. Like I don't know more, but I know it differently. Like I have firsthand experience versus, maybe classroom experience. And I just felt very grateful for that. And I felt like we made like really great relationships and I don't know, it's just kind of also a lot of like, how do I communicate? Like, how do I get my point across? Like, also, like, what do I want? Like, you have to be clear on your vision as well. Like, well, I think it also made me decide what we want to design as well, because when we're standing there in the dye house and the guy is like, what colors do you want? How do you want the pattern? I'm like, oh, like, we're like kind of doing it together. It's like baking a cake. Like, we're like baking a cake together and it was sweet, and like I felt like it was just like a very fun experience. And if I had sent, say, the intern to go do that, I would have missed out on that. So I think that I like cherish those moments.
Definitely hands-on, nothing better than hands-on learning. So, you talked about vision. What was the earliest vision for Generation Love, and has it evolved, and if so, how in the years from t-shirt making to couture items that you're selling on Madison Avenue?
So I think the visions always stay the same. We wanted to make pieces that were effortlessly chic and day to night. So when we started, it was with our t-shirts. So we kind of eventually moved into t-shirts that had more like kind of gold stitching and embellishments on it. That kind of became like what we were known for. It was all about back then t-shirts underneath a blazer. Like what's your cute little tee that you wear underneath a jacket that you feel like good in? And then eventually, I'm like, I want to make my own blazer because I love blazers and I love my t-shirts, but I want a whole look. So that's kind of how we organically progressed into this full women's wear collection because I was like, I don't want to wear anyone else's blazer. I want to wear my own. So our collection always starts from the fabric. Like I'm always inspired by a certain fabric. So we were really inspired by, so Audrey's French. So we would go to France often. So it's great to see like all the beautiful fabrics over there. It's so inspiring. Yeah. So I think that kind of really gave us the vision to kind of really up the ante on the assortment. So like what I want to wear, also B, growing up. I started the brand. We officially started the brand when I was 24 years old, and I'm 40, I just turned 43 the other day. My end use has changed. I'm not doing the same things as I was when I was 24 years old, and I want to dress the part, I guess. So, I think that's also how the brand has evolved over the years.
I can't stop thinking of more and more questions for you. I want to know how you got the fabrics back from France and how much more complicated is it to do a blazer than a t-shirt? I can't imagine. Like the learning curve is so incredible.
It is much harder to do a blazer than a t-shirt, but it's really funny though, because a t-shirt's not easy either. And that's kind of what I learned very fast because we're like, we can do t-shirts. Why not? Like, that's easy. No, it's not. Like, I mean, at least the way we wanted it. I don't know. Like, it was like we went to so many factories. Like, no, you're not. The neck is not right. Like, gotta, I don't know. Like, it was just like, it was complicated. It became complicated. And I don't know if it became complicated because we were so passionate and we cared so much. So we kind of like, didn't let go of the details, which in the end, I think also made you successful. Everything is challenging. If you want it right and you want it done the way you want it, there's a challenge.
I want to go back a little bit. We've kind of blown through the progression of the brand, but like you had mentioned earlier, and I think it's really, really important for people to hear this, that you continued to work for 5 years. Can you tell us a little bit more about like how that decision came about? You have $100,000. You probably could have stayed living with your mom and just like slowly dwindling that down. What was the thought process?
Honestly, the thought of stop working never crossed my mind ever. For us, it was kind of freedom because we could fund the business as we grew it. Like we knew this could take a while. Like we didn't expect this to become something overnight for a lot of different reasons. A, we were only starting with $100,000, and B, we didn't know anybody. Like it's not like we had the contacts, it's not like we had buyer contacts, store contacts. Like everything was literally from the ground up. So actually, really what inspired us is that one of our factories early on told us this like story that one of the vendors he was working with didn't pay him, and he was telling us how like it was messed up and it was an awful story. And Audrey and I kind of looked at each other and we vowed that we would never be like that ever, that no matter what, like we do not want to be like those people that don't pay their factories. Like that's an awful story. So I think from then on we're like, we're going to keep working. We're going to pay whatever we're doing with the work we're doing. And so then whatever mistakes you make, which you will make, you're going to pay them off, and then you're not like hurting anybody along the way. And also, we didn't even touch the money that we saved. We actually never touched our $100,000, which was like another like achievement that we're like, yes, we never touched it because we managed to, I guess, I was working. So it was basically whatever income I was making was kind of funding all the business that we were doing. So our like for us, that $100,000 was like a cushion.
Holy shit. That is so intense. You had a bit of like a fallback, like you said. It's so interesting because you told me when we met that you're not a business person in the traditional sense. And your success is not necessarily attributed to things that you learn in business school or by putting together a business plan. You've talked about integrity and care for the details. What do you point to as whether it's something internal within you or something that happened to you, luck, that you attribute your success to?
I don't really believe in luck. I believe in hard work and I believe in like never giving up. I think that's the biggest thing. I think there's been a lot of moments where you're like, you want to, like, it's hard, it's too hard, or you don't think you're going to make it through, or what's the point? There were a lot of moments where like, why are we doing this? Like, where is this going? And I think it's those moments where you just have to be like, no, let's keep going. There's something like, or just like, you need to believe in yourself, or we know there's something here. We love what we do. We love what we're doing. We want the life we want. Like, we want to have business. I want to be an entrepreneur. And I think those are the moments that really guided me. I think then that's what's amazing about having a partnership. I think with someone that you really trust and can be, where you can like lift each other up when you're down.
Can you take us into one of those hard moments? Like when you were just like, this is too much. You know what? We got it as far as we got it. Was it reaching out to get clients? Was it something with the factory?
All of the above, all of the above. Like, when we first started, we were making everything in the garment district, and, I mean, we had an order once that we were so thankful that we had this order. It was actually for Barney's, and it was one of our first orders, was huge, and we were in the factory until, like, 4 a.m., like, helping, packing, because the deadline was looming, and, we had to help pack, and they were sewing, they were like doing whatever they needed to do to get the stuff done. And we were literally in the factory like all night helping, like getting the box ready to go out. The exhaustion, when like the exhaustion sets in, and we're like, I remember being in like the hallway of the factory building in the middle of the night, and we're just like, what are we doing? This is crazy. I'm so tired.
What keeps you going in those moments? Each other?
I think definitely each other. I just think there was something where I'm like, I'm not giving up. Like, it wasn't even like a question in my mind. It wasn't even a thought. Like, in the minute, like, for me, it was like, there's no option. That's not an option. Like, no. And then I remember like coming back home one day, and after like, I think I was like feeling pretty defeated. I had a fax, which that back then I had a fax machine, and there was a faxed order that came through from Intermix, which is when I first got my order from Intermix. And I was like, oh my God, here's my order from the fax machine. And it's so funny. And I'll never forget that day ever, because I was like, oh my God, here's a sign, like, here's my, like, this order from this amazing store
Where you worked?
where I worked. So I managed to get us in there, and which was more incredible afterwards. And I was able to sell the product on the sales floor and see the actual like reaction from clients, which to me again was like a super valuable gift, that I was able to see like firsthand reaction, because I didn't tell them it was my brand. So it was just like to see people love it or hate it, and why. And I could I can understand like firsthand why they liked it, or why they bought it, or why they didn't buy it.
That's a great lesson to be able to be the one on the front lines. And there's nothing that can replicate that experience of like touching your consumer and really being with them when they're evaluating what you're putting out there, although that's terribly vulnerable at the same time. What you're doing is putting a really real light on entrepreneurship. There's too many people out there who have seen it on TikTok and Instagram, and there's so many ads that we're bombarded with of like, oh, you'll make $17 million in 1 year, just create this marketing funnel. And it's just not like that. And I think a lot of people want to believe it's like that and go down that rabbit hole for a period of time before they're like, no, there's really nothing that replaces doing the research, being on the ground. I came across a stat recently that said for entrepreneurs, above anything else, funding, where you went to school, what kind of degree you had, what caliber team you had, the number one marker of success was consistency and persistence. Like persistence is by far the commonality of all successful entrepreneurs, and you have it in spades, in spades. You do not strike me as someone who is taking no or giving up.
My dad said something to me once that always stuck with me: when a door closes, fly through the window. My parents were definitely there, in like in a lot of different ways, and they've both been very like motivational and inspirational to me. Yeah, I don't take a no for an answer. That's a fact.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so the listeners of this podcast are in their 30s. Many of them have dreams of transitioning to being their own boss. What has surprised you about being your own boss?
How you're your own boss, but you're also a leader to your organization. So when you have employees and team members that look up to you and that want your guidance, you're not alone. So it's not like you're functioning alone. And I mean, I guess this is when you have a team, or even not when you work solo. You are not alone in the sense that you have clients to answer to. You have factories to answer to. You have whatever it is. Like it's not the you show. And that's what I kind of like say sometimes. It's not the Roni show. It's not what Roni wants. It's not what I only because I want it. It's because this is what I think the clients want, or this is what I think is for the company, or this is what that's kind of our vision. And that's how my outlook on things.
Well said. That's so true because there is a common misconception that when you are your own boss, all your troubles go away. Like nobody wants to have a boss. But you do. Your team, you're accountable to them. Your clients, you're accountable to them. Your vendors, you're accountable to them. And you end up with a lot more people that you're accountable to. And I think that's a very common misconception.
You feel like you're a mama bear of some sort, but in some way, like there were definitely times when I'm like, I don't know if I can keep doing, this was like years ago. And I remember my mom telling me like, Roni, you have employees, like you have a company, like you're going to pull yourself together, woman. Like, and my mom was like, you have responsibilities. Like get it together. And I'm like, okay, like, okay. And, like, I had to, like, get myself together, like, she's right, like, I have people are sending their kids to college on my I felt like I felt responsible, I felt like I can't just be sad and, like, be upset and, like, I'm not a little girl, I'm not just doing a hobby, this is a business, and I have, people working for me that rely on a paycheck that want get yourself together.
I'm curious what your parents think from the days of the fabric in for the t-shirts, the rolls of fabric in the foyer to what you've built today. Would you share a little bit of that with us?
Sure, I mean, they're so proud. I mean, both of them, like they didn't graduate college. Neither did I actually. But also being like immigrants to the United States, I think they are so proud that I did what I said I would do in a sense. Like I put my mind to something and I didn't give up. I think that's number one what they're proud of because I think a lot of people say they're going to start a business or they want to do XYZ or they want to become da da da. And I think I said it and I did it. And, they also at some point, I'm sure, thought that it wasn't going to happen. My mom was definitely a little judgmental in the very beginning, and I think in the end, it was good. It was like good feedback because in the end of the day, like criticism is important. And my mom, I don't know, like many of other moms, like she's very critical. So yeah, but they're so proud. They're so proud of what we've grown this to become. And yeah, I mean, I think they're very, very happy, proud.
I can only imagine. And there's a difference between criticism and constructive criticism. A lot of people confuse constructive criticism for criticism and immediately take it personally. And it sounds like you converted it into what is the message I'm supposed to receive here and how can I use it to push me forward? I want to ask you a question that I've been asked and it took me a long time to figure it out. I rarely meet people who are as tenacious and dedicated through like banging their head against a brick wall because that is what entrepreneurship is. Whose brick is on Roni's gas pedal?
Like nice things. I don't know. Like I grew up in a middle class family, but money was definitely a problem, like a struggle. So I think I grew up in a rent controlled apartment. I'm so grateful for that on the Upper East Side. I loved, it was a beautiful childhood. I learned the value of working very early on. I think also because I wanted to ultimately buy a Kate Spade bag as my book bag. That was like I want this bag from high school. And I'm like, I'm gonna get a job and I'm gonna go buy it. So that's really the beginning of all this. But in the end of the day, yeah, I mean, I heard, money was a struggle. It was difficult. And I think I just didn't want that for my life. I wanted to have more. And I'm not putting down in any shape or form like my parents had, their upbringing, but I just wanted a little bit more for myself. And I think Audrey maybe similarly, like we both just wanted to create a life for ourselves that we loved.
It's such a valid answer. Like, I like nice things is such a valid answer for why you want to make more money. We grow up in this society where we're made to feel bad to be that way, but it's like one life if you want to earn money and buy yourself nice things or start a company or chase your dreams.
It's your dreams. I mean, look, I think everything comes full circle. I love that we're doing all these charity components. Like then we can give back. I think it's a cycle, and I think independence is freedom. To be financially independent is freedom, and that you can decide to do what you want to do with your life. That you can live where you want to live. Like you can decide if you want to move cities or move countries. Like I think that That's the key. I think it's more like, oh, I want to go on a trip, I can do that. Or, oh, I want to take some extracurricular classes or take a pottery class, I can do that. It's not just about material things. But we live in a society that you have to pay for everything. I mean, that's the bottom line. So, I didn't grow up actually, having any of those like extra school activities. I didn't like play sports. I didn't do any of that stuff. My parents didn't have the money to send me. I went to public school. So I feel like maybe now I'm kind of making up for lost time in a sense. I'm like, well, I want to do it. I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to have fun, or I'm going to just, I work very hard. I work a lot and I'm not complaining, but, I also enjoy myself.
So relatable. So many people feel guilty. A big part of our company is moving away from this stigma of financial advice, which is just saving for a rainy day. And it's like, no, you save it to spend it, to enjoy
Right.
it, to live, enrich your life, to do travel, have experiences, give. There's so many great reasons to push yourself for, a more economically stable situation. It's self-serving, but it also opens up opportunities for you to serve others. And I think that's a really, really well said. Okay, so Roni, we always end the show with a segment that I call Best Bite. I am a huge foodie. I love to eat out. I take myself out. I always sit at the bar. I love to chat with the bartender. I love good restaurants, whether it's in here in New York or anywhere. So, my question for you is, tell me something you've had recently, whether you made it at home or you went out somewhere in New York or when you were traveling. Give me your can't miss recommendation for where I need to go and what I need to try.
Well, that's easy because I just went to this amazing restaurant for my birthday. It's called the 86. And it's I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's super cool, very New York, very, I don't know, like I felt like I was like back in like the 20s or something. It was just a very cool ambiance. But the cake, because I love dessert, the desserts were like phenomenal. And they had this cheesecake, which was like very like New York cheesecake. I don't know. I just was like, I was like, this is the best cake in the world. So I highly recommend the 86 and getting the cheesecake.
Oh my gosh. This is the second cake I've been recommended recently. I have a carrot cake I need to go get from Jean Georges, and now the cheesecake from the 86. I'm dead. I love a cheesecake. Okay, I'm going. Don't need to tell me twice. That's awesome. Where can people stay in touch with you, Roni? Tell me your handles. How do we keep in touch with your amazing, amazing journey? And also your clothes. We want to be able to shop. And I understand you have a giveaway. Tell us your handles and then we'll talk about the giveaway.
You can follow us at Generation Love Clothing on Instagram, or my own handle, which is not huge or anything, but you can follow me at Rones_NYC, and our website, generationloveclothing.com.
Your channel, your platform is actually really fun to watch. I've been following for some time now, and you guys do great posts
Thank
and show
you.
the styling and the new pieces and seasonal, and you throw in some founder lessons as well. It's a really, really
Yeah.
great, it's a really great platform, really great channel. As far as the giveaway goes, so listeners of the F Word podcast, if you go to generationloveclothing.com from the date this episode goes live, April 2nd through May 2nd, they are offering listeners a 15% discount. You just have to use the promo code the F word, no spaces, no punctuation, all one, the F word for 15% off to her fabulous designs, which you can see her wearing right now. Roni, you're styling me at some point. I'm coming in. We've got to do it.
It's a date.
I'm so excited. Thank you for being here. So, so grateful to you. This was so fun.
Great. I had a blast. Thank you.
I'm really glad we found each other. Your story is a good reminder that you don't have to have a perfect resume or a perfectly mapped out business plan, which I think a lot of people think. But in order to build something meaningful, you can just go for it. You need conviction, resilience, and I guess the willingness to keep going when it would be easier not to, as you've proved. To everyone listening, if you've ever wondered if you could build something on your own, I really hope this conversation helped expand what you feel is possible. If this episode resonated, share it with a friend who's sitting on an idea or someone who's been talking about maybe leaving that stable job for years. Sometimes just hearing someone else how they did it is the nudge you need. So make sure you're subscribed. Don't miss future episodes. We've got a lot of exciting guests coming up. We've got a lot more to share. So if you have a minute, help people find the show by rating it, reviewing it, like, follow, subscribe, all the things. And that's it for today. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to The F Word with Priya Milani. If you like what you heard, hit subscribe wherever you're listening and leave us a review while you're at it. We're approval junkies. Don't forget, you can find a ton of great resources, content, courses, and other freebies at stashwealth.com. Now, for the capital S stuff our lawyers want us to say. Stash Wealth is a registered investment advisor. Content presented is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to make an offer or solicitation for any specific securities, product, service, or strategy. Consult with a qualified investment advisor, that's us, before implementing any strategy. Investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. There, we said it.
Did I have that up?